Pragmatism, the philosophy of practical action. Imagine you're facing a decision, not a life-altering one, but an everyday choice. Do you take the highway or the scenic route? Should you buy a book or just watch a documentary? Should you stick to tradition or try something new? Most people would weigh the pros and cons, think through the logic, or maybe even trust their gut. But what if I told you that the best way to decide isn't about what's true or right in some abstract sense, but simply what works? This is pragmatism, one of the most influential and uniquely American philosophies. Pragmatism doesn't ask what is truth in some deep metaphysical way. Instead, it asks, what difference does it make if an idea helps us navigate life, solve problems, and produce good results? It's true enough. So today, we're diving deep into pragmatism, exploring the thinkers who built it, the ways it shaped modern thought, and why, whether we realize it or not, we are all pragmatists in some way. Let's get started. What is pragmatism? The philosophy of action. Pragmatism is the idea that truth is not absolute, it's practical. If an idea works, it's valid. If it doesn't, it's not. Instead of searching for unchanging universal truths, pragmatists focus on what actually helps us in real life. Take scientific theories as an example. Scientists don't treat theories like religious truths. They treat them as useful tools. If a theory helps explain the world and predict the future, it's kept. If new evidence comes along that disproves it, they modify it or throw it out. Pragmatists argue that all of our beliefs should work this way. We shouldn't hold on to ideas just because they've been around forever. We should ask, is this helping us? If not, time to move on. And this is where our three main pragmatists enter the picture. Charles Sanders Peirce, the father of pragmatism, who introduced the idea that truth should be measured by practical consequences. William James, psychologist-philosopher who argued that our beliefs literally shape reality. John Dewey, the educator and reformer who applied pragmatism to education and democracy. Each of these thinkers left a huge impact on philosophy, science, and even how we approach everyday life. Let's take a closer look. Charles Sanders Peirce. Our first pragmatist was a brilliant but eccentric mathematician and scientist. Peirce argued that ideas only have meaning if they have consequences. If a belief doesn't affect the way we act or think, then it's useless. Let's say you're debating a question like, do we live in a simulation? For Peirce, the real question is, does believing in a simulation change how you live your life? If it doesn't change how you interact with the world, then the question is meaningless. If it does, then what matters is what kind of impact it has, not whether it's objectively true or false. He believed that truth evolves. New information changes what we consider true, and so knowledge should always be open to revision. William James, The Power of Belief. If Peirce introduced pragmatism, William James made it popular. He was a psychologist, philosopher, and one of the first to study the mind scientifically. He took Peirce's ideas and applied them to personal experience, religion, and psychology. James believed that our beliefs don't just reflect reality, they shape it. Take placebo effects as an example. If a patient believes a sugar pill is medicine, they might actually feel better, even if there's no real drug. Their belief creates real effects. James applied this idea to religion and free will. He argued that believing in God, purpose, or even ourselves can be pragmatically true if those beliefs help us live better lives. This is why he coined the term the will to believe. If believing in something improves our life, gives us strength, or helps us navigate challenges, then it has real value. So, what do you believe, and how does that belief shape your actions? John Dewey, Learning by Doing. Finally, we have John Dewey, a philosopher and educator who applied pragmatism to democracy and education. Dewey believed that we learn best by doing. He hated rigid schools that forced kids to memorize facts without experience. Instead, he promoted experiential learning, a hands-on approach to education that focuses on problem-solving, creativity, and real-world application. Think about how you learn best. Do you learn math better from a lecture? Or from actually solving real problems? Do you understand history better by memorizing dates, or by analyzing real events and their consequences? Dewey's influence can still be seen today in progressive education, interactive learning, and even self-directed study. His ideas also shaped democracy, arguing that a good society isn't just one where people vote. It's one where people are actively involved, constantly learning and questioning their beliefs. Why does pragmatism matter today? So why should you care about pragmatism in the 21st century? Because in a world full of misinformation, ideological battles and social change, pragmatism forces us to ask the right questions. Does this belief help or harm? Is this idea solving a problem? Should we keep traditions just because they're old, or because they still work? Pragmatism rejects ideology for ideology's sake. Instead of blindly following dogma, it asks, what works best for real people in the real world? From business to politics, science to education, pragmatism teaches us adaptability, flexibility, and the courage to change our minds when new facts emerge. Are you a pragmatist? Pragmatism is the anti-dogma philosophy. It's about focusing on results over ideology, action over theory. So ask yourself, do you believe in things because they make sense or because they work? Are your beliefs helping you live a better life, or are they holding you back? Pragmatism isn't just a philosophy. It's a toolset, a way of approaching problems, decisions, and even life itself. So maybe, without even knowing it, you're already a pragmatist. Subscribe for more deep dives into philosophy, history, and the ideas that shape the world. Next time, the philosophy of existentialism. Why you create your own meaning.